Hello, Rose Buddies! How is everyone doing today? It's been a while since our last witchy stream, but I'm finally back. My desk area smells fantastic because I got this new incense and I haven't even lit it yet. Well, I haven't even lit it yet at my desk right now because I was going to light it for you all, but it just smells so good in the package. Hi, Sir Noxalot! So this is Sea Witch Botanicals Green Fairy. Let's see if I can get it to show up not blurry. There we go. And it is Star Anise smelling fragrance. Thank you. Yeah. So oh my God. It smells so strong. Like I feel like I could just leave a stick out and it would just make things smell fantastic, but we're going to, I don't know, we're gonna be dangerous and do a tiny fire. Just because I thought this would be fun. Hi, O-Sheet Pizza. Oh, thank you, Glub Glub Glub. I just got some new lipsticks today, which always, there we go. Oof. I'm like holding this match so weird. I've like forgotten how to hold a match because I'm live, and so of course. There we go. Let our incense burn for a little bit. There, it dies out on its own. I've got a little incense holder off to the side here. There we go. But just some lovely ambiance. Does anybody else like lighting incense? I've actually been making incense recently. It's not super difficult to make incense cones, but I feel like it's difficult to make incense in general well. Hi, Friday. Hi, Teacup. Thank you for joining. So basically, to make the cones, you need to have powdered things that smell good when burnt. So I've been using cedar needles from my backyard, or cedar leaves. They're not quite needles. And I dry and powder those, and then you use this substance called mako powder that is becomes a binding agent and also has a slow, steady burn. Really good for incense. And that has its own sort of scent as well. And you can buy that on, gosh, anywhere there's incense making supplies. Even Amazon sells it. And you mix the mako powder and the powdered substance that you're using. So I've used cedar, I've used rose petals, I've used lavender, all ground into a powder. And you mix it with the mako powder, and then you mix it with as little water as you can get away with to make a dough. And then you form it into cones. And I was so proud of my first incense cones. And then I bought this stuff, the Sea Witch Botanical stuff, that uses star anise essential oil, and it smelled so good. I was just like, oh damn, my incense smells like trash. Oh, hey Tyler, thanks for joining. Yeah, I wish you all could smell this. I suppose, I'm wondering if it's actually sort of a divisive smell, because I know some folks find licorice smells and black licorice smells really repugnant, but I love it. I find it so refreshing and bright. Let's read, they have like a fun description on the back. Let's do a dramatic reading of this. Green Fairy will delight your senses with the indulgent aroma of star anise. Drink in the sweet, luxurious scent of black licorice. Use this incense when you feel the call of the unknown. Embrace mystery while you commune with the universe. Pairs perfectly with art, music, and healing. So that is this Green Fairy incense that I'm enjoying today. We'll just have some ashes on my desk. That's fine. We'll easily clean those up. Grinning Greg! Thanks for subscribing, and congrats on, I believe you just earned your 6-month badge. So you had to get a little moon next to your rose now. Congratulations. I got your email, by the way. I will be getting back to you soon. That mysterious email. So I got this and I saw that they used in their ingredients essential oil. So I thought, well, I'll get some essential oils and I'll just mix those in with my incense cones. It's difficult finding recipes and instructions if you want to go beyond the basic. people are basically just like, well, get some powdered stuff, mix it with Mako powder, and make cones. And that's all the tutorial I've been finding. But the ingredient list is very short on these. It's star anise essential oil, charcoal, tree resin, a bamboo stick, which I'm guessing is the little stick in the middle of the incense, and earth-based pigments. And so I thought, well, you must be able to just add essential oil into the cones. I also saw one tutorial where it was getting plain incense cones and soaking them in an alcohol and essential oil mixture. And so I thought, well, you have to add water anyway. Maybe I could use isopropyl alcohol instead of water. And that will even evaporate faster and the cones will dry out sooner. So anyway, I tried that this weekend and mixed isopropyl alcohol to dilute and distribute ylang ylang essential oil in one batch and bergamot essential oil in another batch, and mixed that instead of the water. And don't do that. It was weird. So usually you get a sort of crumbly dough, but it does stick together. This was somehow, like, ended up adding water to try to get it to stick together. It was like the alcohol, even though it was liquidy, was not activating the Mako powder. And I had something like 91% isopropyl alcohol. So there was very little actual water in it. And so I was adding water, and then it became this extremely damp dough that was kind of like squishing, like liquid would exude from it, like a mud. But it still wasn't sticking in the shapes. And anyway, it was a mess. Learn from my mistake. Don't do that. I have two things I'm going to try. I burned the incense that I made this weekend, even though it's not fully dry yet. I burned the little tips of the cones. Just because I can't wait and I wanted to know what they smelled like. And I'm not getting as strong a fragrance as this like artisan incense that I've got. So my thoughts are either I'm applying the essential oil incorrectly, or I just need like twice as much, 3 times as much. Counted the drops I was using. So I'm going to try one where I use a bunch more essential oil, a lot less of the isopropyl alcohol, to just enough so that it feels like I can evenly distribute it, and still use water as my main activating the Mako powder ingredient. And then if that doesn't work, I think I'm just going to make a bunch of plain cedar cones, let those dry, and then soak them in essential oil like that other tutorial said to do. But that just seems silly. Like, if you're making it, why not just put them in the ingredient and right away? But maybe it doesn't work that way. I don't know. If folks have thoughts, because I'm just making stuff up, if folks have thoughts in chat of stuff they would like to make up, feel free to share suggestions, because I'm at a loss. I'm kind of at that stage where I'm feeling discouraged because I'm not perfect right away. And that tells you a little bit about me. Gosh. Friday says, I'm learning from your experiments, very curious, nervous to try my tea cones. I will say, so the bergamot ones I did, instead of cedar in the base, I mixed smoked black tea with the Mako powder. And that definitely had a different scent to the smoke. But I think I was too focused on just how I couldn't smell any of the bergamot, like, at all. Yeah, glub glub bub. The experimenting is fun. So, I mean, I'm saying I'm discouraged, but it's also half the fun trying to figure it out. I just hope that I can make something as yummy as this green fairy incense, which is my new favorite. Yeah, smoked black tea is fine to smell like burning tea leaves, I would think, right? I figured that was safe. And I had like a bulk bag of it. And it was, I think it's the plainest tea I have. I didn't want to use a tea that had other things added to it already. Just trying to use what I have in my cabinet. So we'll see. I'll keep everyone updated. Origami Shuriken says, I've made bath bombs and stuff like that, but not incense. Yeah, so those are the sort of supply places I'm looking for essential oils. I'm starting to look at what people do for candles, because I figured it gets burnt with the wax, so ingredients that are safe for making candles are probably safe for making incense. Don't quote me on that, or like burn down your house and say Lisa said it was okay. But that's what I feel comfortable doing. Haven't burnt down the house yet. Knock on all the wood. I'm trying to think what else I've done. I dyed my hair navy blue. So if you've been following me on Twitter, maybe Instagram for a while, you know I've been green for several years. I feel like it's been as long as I've been playing D&D, so like 4 or 5 years now. And I really want to go to a mauve pink, but that's like the opposite of green. So I'm exploring the rainbow, and right now I'm kind of like a navy blue. It's still got some green tones in it because I was impatient and dyed over this sort of sea turquoisey green I had. So that's fun. I'm a new color, which I thought would complement my new purple lipstick. So that's why I've got my purple lips right now. So it's been a few weeks, so I don't know if you all remember, last time we did some scrapbooking, and I made, which one did I make on stream? I made this one on stream, like a cool little envelope out of some paper from a magazine. And then Grinning Greg, who's in the chat, had the idea to put this flower as like a fake seal. And so I ended up making a whole bunch of them. Some of them are in my Book of Shadows now, but I'll show you the other ones I made. Some of them I think are just too pretty that I don't want to, or the backs are too pretty. Like, look at this one. It's got an owl on the back. I just think they're too nice as like 360-degree objects to paste into my book, so I haven't used all of them yet. I've also found that, I mean, but putting an envelope into your notebook and then putting something in the envelope makes your notebook really chunky and thick really fast. So I've been trying to pace myself with using these envelopes. Ooh, I like this one. The paper has sort of like a dark green forest on it. And then the little cutout I did was this little spooky gremlin from an old painting that was like sitting on top of somebody. I cut him out. And I also really like this one that has very moody, deep blues and greens in a flower pattern. And then I used a little butterfly, a little dark blue butterfly that was on the same, I think it was on the same print, but it was in a corner. So I cut him out so we could use him as the seal. So I've got lots of cutie envelopes now. I had so much fun doing that on the last stream. I went through this phase where all that week I just made a bajillion envelopes. You don't even know. You haven't even seen them all. So many. Okay. Now that we are like proper warmed up and chatting, last time I really wanted to show everybody some cool witchy things I saw on Witch Instagram. I've been posting and asking folks who they follow on Twitter in the witch sphere, and it just seems like the witchy community is much more active on Instagram, I suppose because the witch life comes with all sorts of aesthetic as well, aesthetic things, or folks are attracted to it because of the aesthetic. So maybe that's why Instagram is much more popular. There's a pretty robust witch community on YouTube as well. Wait, Grinning Greg had an awesome idea. What is it? I'd love envelopes like that in a treasure hunt in the woods. Okay, so, Grinning Greg. There is a campus in Olympia, Washington, where the campus is like acres and acres of like rainforests, basically. There's like even different like zones of trees in this forest. So like depending on where you are in the woods, it has a very different feel, but it's very like moss covered trees. And because it's on this college campus, I feel like I've talked about this on my channel before, but whatever, I love it there. Because it's on this campus, there's lots of students who are in the woods all the time. Sometimes they'll even like be partying in the woods, and there's different areas where people know there's this one upturned stump. And so like everyone parties at the upturned stump or something like that. But because they're in there all the time, they've really added their personality to the woods. So one time Destiny and I went walking there, and someone had taken cardboard, so simple materials, but then drawn all these really wild looking spirits on them and hid them all throughout the woods. And we came back another day and they'd all moved, or someone had put new ones in. So you find magical little things in those woods, and oh my goodness, it would be I would love to leave like poetry or something, some of my favorite poems maybe like tucked into the little envelopes, and then maybe fold wax paper over them to help protect them, and just tuck them into trees. So folks can find them. Especially, there's some very magical feeling areas, like places with like shrines and stuff built into trees and logs. So just tucking things in little special places for people. I'm all about that. That's very whimsical. I've forgotten what I was talking about, so I'm going to hydrate while I remember. Oh yes. I was talking about the Instagram community. Or the witchy Instagram community. And I thought we would do a little share of some of the things I've saved in my favorites, because I thought they were cool and I wanted to share them with people. So let's make me tiny. I'm tiny now. Okay. And we have I wanted to start with a couple quotes. So The Cards by Alicia has a tarot tip. Always remember that you are in the driver's seat. Receiving a reading can be scary, especially when we see cards on the table that we might not like the look of. Always remember that no future is fixed, and you are master of your own destiny. You have free will to alter any future possibilities. You always have control of the steering wheel. This one reminded me a lot of the Tarot Tuesday streams we used to do, in two ways. One was that we talked a lot about quote unquote negative cards or reversed cards, and how those can be really scary to get in a reading. And I like that this quote reminds you to kind of pause if you're having that sort of reaction. And in truth, there aren't really negative cards, even if we've come to associate them with negativity. And reverse cards don't always mean something bad. So kind of like pause and see if there's a way that you can think of this card that is useful to you. And then the other aspect they bring up is that like you're in charge of the steering wheel, especially with minor arcana cards in tarot. It's all about temporary energies. It's about, I think the quote from Intuitive Tarot is that they are omens of the present. So what energies you have going on exactly as they are during this reading. Minor Arcana speaks to like everyday people and lessons and situations, and it's very easy to change those. They are temporary omens. I'd say even with a major arcana card, which is about big life lessons that are coming, you're still in control of changing your fate. So don't stress out too much about a tarot card. It could be that you do a reading and it gives you the warning that you need to change the outcome. Anyway, love that one. The Cards by Alicia. I'll scroll down a little bit. Oh, won't let me scroll down too much more. If you are interested in tarot content, The Cards by Alicia is a really great Instagram account to follow. And Alicia, in case it's like really, really tiny on the screen, Alicia is spelled A-L-I-C-I-A. So we'll close that window. Ooh, So this is a great and thematic for today. The account is It's Witchy Wednesday, which it is. It is a Witchy Wednesday. And I just really loved this quote. My first altar was the night sky, wide and mine, and still it belonged to no one at all. That I really like for a number of reasons, but I think mostly I like the idea that something can be yours but also really not belong to anybody, that it can be special to you, and also special to a lot of other people for different reasons. It's everyone's and no one's at the same time. But I also love that the idea of an altar can be something as simple or taken as for granted as the night sky or a tree stump in your backyard. It doesn't have to be this like lofty witch aesthetic goal of a hand carved shelf with all of the perfect tools that you absolutely need. It can just be whatever connects you to nature and your surroundings or gets you in a magical mood. So love that. Ooh, okay. And then this account I only just discovered recently, although some of the older posts I have definitely seen reposted by other accounts. So this one is called Wiccan Cuisine. And I liked this one because, well, okay, let me back it up. So they're posting recently recipes for Imbolc. Oh, hey, Chris, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for subbing again. Oh my God, Dusty in chat said finger Wiccan good. I'm really angry at you. But also overjoyed and tickled. They've been posting Imbolc recipes. Imbolc is the next Sabbath on the Wheel of the Year coming up. Actually next week, February 1st, which I believe is Monday. So their account has been posting different recipes for Imbolc. And I really loved, I mean, I can't personally eat these, although because I've been eating plant-based, but I could totally modify this recipe. They are goat cheese rolls, and I just think they're such cuties. I guess I just like things in spirals, like cinnamon rolls are very pleasing. But another reason I like this, and I'll turn over to the next slide, which is the recipe for the goat cheese rolls. Goat cheese and olive oil and honey and chives in the filling. Not just chives, also red onions. This sounds amazing. Goat cheese is actually one of the cheeses that actually is pretty easy to find substitutes for that are plant-based. Cashew cheeses make for some really great quote-unquote goat cheese textured soft cheeses or ricottas. So you could probably do a cashew cheese roll. Glove says, I've yet to meet a roll I didn't like. But another reason I really liked this recipe, because of the roll, the spiral, is that I've just been browsing through this book, which is one of Llewellyn's Sabbath Essential books. I'm trying to slowly collect them for each Wheel of the Year holiday as they come up. And this Imbolc one has a ritual that you can do with a large group of people. They say 13 is the perfect number of people, but what is it specifically called? Hold on. It's called, it's like Uncoiling the Dragon, a group ritual. And it's basically everyone has candles. Candles are a really big part of Imbolc. And people kind of stand in a spiral, and then they all move in a different spiral to unwind the first large spiral they created, which is Uncoiling the Dragon. And so that spiral shape was in my head, and I saw these, and I was like, oh, now I'm going to associate spirals with Imbolc. Oh my God, Friday, we baked cinnamon rolls already today. What if there was just an all roll day? You must play dice games on all roll day, says Glub Glub Bub. Yes. I second what Friday said, which is just yes. Absolutely. We'll talk a little bit more about Imbolc. But Wiccan Cuisine, let's see if we can go to their page and so I can show you some more. There we go. Look how delicious If you just want like a yummy page to follow. Look at this gorgeous Yule log they made. Ooh, a spooky looking, it looks like a spooky apple pie. Was that for Samhain? Snow White pie. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, if you just want food inspiration, but you want stuff that feels a little more intentional and magical, Wiccan Cuisine, a great follow. Oh, Friday says, oh dang, I've never heard it called that. We always call it the spiral dance, not fancy, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is, except there's like you're incanting and calling upon the dragon, which feels sort of like the sun. You're embodying like sunlight and its return and spring and warmth. Okay. The next post I wanted to share, the next few posts actually, are from an account called A Witch Alone. So I noticed I really like this account. She makes a lot of different charts, which can be about things like another one I'm going to show is rituals for letting go, but also a lot of topical, depending on what's going on in the witch world. So, for example, Imbolc is coming up, and in the other hemisphere, the bread one, Lammas, is coming up. So she made these really cool charts of correspondences. So this Imbolc book has a chapter that's all correspondences, so different colors and symbols and herbs and etc. that you associate with the holiday. But you can get a nice primer. So, for example, she summarizes pretty well that Imbolc is all about beginnings, preparation, awakening, newness, innocence, change, emerging, cleansing, and fertility. And like different types of spell work. And then here we have even like tarot card. That's cool. Tarot card correspondences. So death is a really interesting card for them to associate with it, because it is very much, I mean, I suppose all the Sabbath holidays are a little bit about transition and change, because it's all about continuing into the next coming season. But I feel like Imbolc especially is about rebirth after death. You've gone through winter, sun and life is returning. It's a really dramatic change. So the death card is interesting. I think if you prescribe to the whole mother, maiden, crone, what's the word? Idea of the goddess, then Imbolc is very much a time when the crone sort of dies and is reborn as the maiden again. Friday in chat says, Imbolc is our go-to planting day. Yes. So again, I've been reading this Imbolc book, and with all the Sabbath holidays, it really comes back to when everyone lived much more agricultural based lives, because everyone had a farm to feed their families, or many people, more people worked in agriculture. And so this book talks about the ancient meanings of Imbolc, and then also modern, more spiritual meanings of it, or how you can connect to it today. And it is a great reminder, bookmark in your year to start planting seeds for spring. And that can be literal seeds that you start planting. I know Dusty is really excited to start sprouting all of his vegetable seeds for our garden come February. But it can also be metaphorical seeds. So if New Year's resolutions aren't your thing, but you do still like planning and setting goals and intentions, Imbolc is a really great time to do that. Also really interesting to me. Okay, I guess we're just going to talk about Imbolc now before we continue on. What was also really interesting in this book, and I don't know why I never ever made this connection, but I was reading through the Old Ways section, and there was, they break down different spring festivals that may or may not be associated with Imbolc by different regions of the world. One of those regions is Asia. They call it Chinese New Year. A lot more countries other than China celebrate a Lunar New Year, so I just call it Lunar New Year these days. But I had never connected it to Imbolc. I know that the past couple of years I've been having potluck parties and housewarmings around Imbolc and around the Chinese New Year, and they always seem to fall on the same or similar days or weekends. And I just all kind of mashed them together, but didn't think about why they fall on same or similar time frames. They don't this year. But Chinese New Year is very much a welcoming of spring ceremony and celebration as well. So I was just really excited for that connection. And it also kind of helps me understand why Imbolc is one of my favorite holidays. It's for a lot of the same reasons that Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year is one of my favorite holidays. Anyway, I also just really loved that it included non-Western holidays in this book as well. Yeah, Friday, exactly. Friday says, that's so funny. I've never held those holidays side by side before. I've never really I just thought in lots of countries, holidays kind of fall at the same time. Chinese New Year and Lunar New Year. Actually, I don't know how Lunar New Year is celebrated in other countries. So Chinese New Year, it's actually, I think, like 2 weeks that people celebrate, and it starts on Lunar New Year's Eve, goes on for 2 weeks, and then there's like a lantern festival. Goodness knows I've never been able to celebrate it that long. My family never did, but we did celebrate Lunar New Year's Eve into Lunar New Year. I guess Imbolc always seems to usually falls into that 2 week span. But I hadn't thought about them. Hadn't held them side by side, as you say. Anyway, I thought that was quite cool. Since we're talking about Imbolc, I don't know if folks I had bookmarked a few paragraphs to read, just for folks who aren't familiar with the holiday, who are interested in it because it's coming up on Monday. So we'll read a little bit of the introduction and then a little bit of the end, because they're a good primer on Imbolc. So when the dark days of winter seem to have gone on forever, the first sign of spring refreshes our souls. It is a promise that winter will not last forever, and that warm and fertile days will come again soon. Even through snow, the daffodils will push their heads up with a startling flash of green and yellow against the otherwise unbroken glare of winter's white. While you can still see your breath like steam in the chilled air, the first taste of fresh milk means that new life will soon be born. Weary from winter's dark, it also means that the soul will soon be reborn in the growing warmth of the sun. There yet may be snow on the ground, but there are new plants sprouting just beneath the protective layer. As bears awaken from their winter slumber, so too does the earth, and life everywhere reawakens. Also known as Imbolc, Imbolc, and the Feast of St. Brigid, Imbolc is the Sabbath midway between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox. Imbolc is celebrated on February 1st and precedes the more recent Christian reinterpretation of Imbolc called Candlemas, which is celebrated on February 2nd. Although you might often see the terms Imbolc and Candlemas used interchangeably, they are actually different holidays. Imbolc is the time when life begins to awaken from its winter sleep and prepare for the warmer and longer days that are soon to start. During the depths of winter, it can feel as though the warm sun and soft breezes of spring will never return, and the cold might go on forever. Imbolc marks the turning point when life eagerly begins to look forward to the increasingly warmer days. I think that is a big part of why Imbolc is my favorite. Chinese New Year and related associations aside, it marks to me that you start to actually notice that the days are longer, and I start realizing it's not getting dark as early, and it just makes me so much happier. I'm am so affected by winter, so you get super depressed by it. Grinning Greg says, as a Pennsylvanian, it's also Groundhog Eve. Imbolc is a time when new plans are made and new ideas are planted. It is also traditionally a time to examine the people, objects, and philosophies in our lives. It is an opportunity to discard the things we don't need or that are holding us back. It is when we make new plans and improve old ones. In a sense, the Imbolc part of the Wheel of the Year is a winter cocoon. Upon emerging, we may be greatly changed indeed from the beings who celebrated Yule only weeks before. I love that last paragraph, that description of it being like you're in your winter cocoon. You're metamorphosizing. And it's also my space alien father's birthday, by which I mean my actual dad, who we're sure is a space alien. All right. And then at the end of the Rituals of Celebration chapter, Imbolc is a time when we can safely discard the things that are holding us back. It's a time to embrace change. We can reflect on what was and what could have been. Imbolc is also a time of hope, and it is perfect for cleaning and preparing for the warmer days ahead. However, we are also required to discard and let go of whatever restrains us. New paths and ideas await us. This quiet Sabbath might arrive in your neighborhood when there is still a thick blanket of snow on the ground, or weeks after the daffodils have burst forth with the colors of spring. Regardless of the weather around you, you can find ways to embrace and celebrate this Sabbath's subtle nature. I think that it's like a subtle holiday, one lesser known, is maybe also why I particularly like it. If that reading appealed to you, and Imbolc as a holiday appeals to you, I mean, check out the recipes on Wiccan Cuisine if you're looking for little ways to celebrate. It's very much associated with candles. It's a fire celebration. So just light a candle even and maybe sit and meditate on what you want to do before you emerge from this cocoon, what you hope you're being transformed into. Do like an audit on any resolutions you might have made or projects that you've committed to, and just set some new intentions. Lighting incense, as we did at the beginning of this chit chat, is also a great little way to celebrate. I am excited to dive into the recipes and crafts section of this book. I'm like binging it basically, so that I can finish it before Monday. Okay, so that was like our little break on Imbolc, but I told you that A Witch Alone has made a lot of other cool charts. Ooh, I love this one. I feel like Friday you would love this too. So I actually copied this entire chart into my Book of Shadows. This is old names for different herbs. So so each of these has like a format where it's like eye of something or foot of something. And usually each of those things or parts represent a part of a plant. So wings are usually leaves, eyes are usually seeds, eye of newt, which you hear a lot because of it's mentioned in Hamlet, is actually a mustard seed. Newt being the mustard plant, eye of newt, seed of the mustard plant. And so this is just a list of a bunch of old ones. They're somewhere on A Witch Alone's page. She also has a chart of some popular different, let me see, I actually have it copied into my Book of Shadows, so. Ye old herbs. Body parts, like a tongue, usually represents a petal. Hair represents like stringy parts of herbs. Blood usually speaks to sap of some sort. And then animals, toad represent sage. Dog represents different types of grasses. A blue jay represents the laurels. There's this whole cool chart. It's so fun, isn't it? Just to call things by their magical name. And all of this, they they attribute to a blog called Dave's Garden. They collected this information from. My yard is full of cat's feet, ground ivy. Oh no, that pest. So I copied it all, both the chart and also this list on Instagram. I just think that's super fun. And here are some rituals for letting go, which I just picked because I really love this style of chart that A Witch Alone does. Gives you some really great, like 5 ideas to get you started maybe on creating a spell for letting go in this like one image. I think that's so great. Our neighborhood is all over Englishman's Foot, Blind Eyes, Devil's Playthings, and Mortification Root. Yes. Let's see. I've been meaning to go through and actually highlight on this chart things that come up a lot for me. So it would be worth me remembering what their magical names are. So like Devil's Plaything is Yarrow. That I will certainly highlight at some point. Chamomile is Blood of Hestia. That makes me think of my friend Meredith. I know she likes Hestia. Yarrow has a number of names, actually. There's also Nosebleed. I use moss a lot in my work, so that's Wool of Bat. How cute! It's moss. I love that. Oh, no, wait. Unicorn Root is Bone Set. I feel like, didn't you just tell us that something was also called Bone Set? Because I think I know it by the other name, but I remember you talking about something, and that it was comfrey. Oh, thanks, Dusty. I'm going to write that in pencil so that I remember. Bone Set, aka comfrey. Dusty's looking to add that to our garden, so that's going to become relevant as well. What was I going to say? So Dusty's going to be planting lots of vegetables and some herbs as well, both for us to utilize, but also he's planting things so that he can then turn them into compost later or just build on the health of the soil in our yard. Interesting, Friday. I wonder if it's a leaf versus root thing. Might be. I have a few planters all around this like altar area I've created in our backyard, where I'm going to be planting herbs to make teas out of and just use in our kitchen and for our practices. So I might honestly pick a few things that I'm less familiar with that I know the fun names of to get me to branch out a little bit. Okay. The next few, it's a similar style of chart creating posts that A Witch Alone does, but these are all, the next 3 are from The Witch of the Forest. So here's, the first one is Timings in Tarot, and they list wands, swords, cups, and pentacles, and wands, which represent fire, which is that's a fast element, burns fast. Wands cards maybe represent things coming up in the next few days. Swords cards, which are air, which flows quickly in the next few weeks. Cups, ebbs with the moon. They write here, affect situations in the next few months. And pentacles, which is earth, grows very slowly, are intentions or situations or things that might come up in the next season or even the next year. I think that's a really interesting association with the elements that correspond to these different suits that I did not read in Intuitive Tarot, but I think is a nice thing to layer into readings in case you feel like it's relevant to that particular reading. So I thought that was cool. I always love learning new tarot things. Ooh, and then I loved this chart for rules for manifestation. And I like that they had like very graphic little images to help you think about each of these. So a few examples here they have are focus very clearly on what you want. That's a really important a part of manifesting anything. Action. Oh, yes, action. Ask the universe, then work towards your goals. Not by the Witch of the Forest. I think it's Witchy Wisdoms. Someone says all the time that it's called spell work. Work is involved. You don't just get to ask for things and they just come to you without your putting any work towards making it happen. And then like believe what you want will happen and trust the process. Just a few of the rules for manifestation. Boop. And then the last one is a chart about witchcraft and different types of water, which I'm going to be honest, aside from moon water that I've not actually ever made, I always just use tap water in my spells. Sometimes I will bless the water if I'm using it to open a circle. I love the idea of getting a jar of seawater and blessing that. So here seawater is cleansing, healing, banishing, and protection. But I've always, it's always appealed to me, even before knowing that it had like these special associations or correspondences. It appealed to me because it combines the elements of earth and water, that salt of the earth. Dusty, whining about fluoride. Oh, I also love the creek water. Nice. Oh, hey Omega, hey Crit Bard. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see. And then I can't even imagine collecting dew to do like a spell with. That feels like, first of all, you have to wake up early, and that's not a thing I often do. But its correspondences are calm, love, beauty, and fertility. So that's quite cool as well. You hear a lot about moon water, which I'm just going to read this out loud also, because I know there are folks in chat who aren't seeing, so this part me just like talking about something they can't see is probably really boring. Moon water, power, energy, intuition, and charging. You hear about people doing moon water a lot, leaving water out on a full moon to absorb the moon's power. But I haven't heard a lot of people talk about sun water, and I've always felt like I find the moon very mystical and mysterious, and it feels magical because of that. But I've always felt so much more energized by the sun. So I've always felt like I'm more of a sun baby. And here it says sun water is strength, positivity, vitality, and creativity. Sushi burrito, did you bring enough to share? Oh, I want a sushi burrito. Dusty says Baja Blast is particularly potent in spell work. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like that's not listed on this water chart, but it certainly has its own special properties. It reminds me actually of someone who was talking about you don't need to buy like special herbs in like vintage jars wrapped in twine from a metaphysical shop to practice spell work. You could just use the herbs you have in your kitchen cabinet. And I think the example that she gave was actually like Italian seasoning has a lot of herbs that have similar correspondences and meanings. So just like instead of buying like oregano and basil and blah blah blah, just use your Italian seasoning. And some people were like, you can't do that, and there was like there was witch drama. Ooh, Critical Bard says the sun is 100% a powerful force that I also agree folks overlook. We equate that mysticality with more darker concepts like the moon, mist, etc. But the sun is such a giving full body of pure energy. Why not be energized by its power with your magic? Love, love, love. I love that perspective. And really the moon's light, that's also the sun's light. So I agree. People really like to associate with the moon. I think part of that is that the moon is associated a lot with feminine energies, and a lot of folks who practice witchcraft, or the style of witchcraft that I practice, tend to be femme, other women, or just people who associate with feminine energies, and so they associate themselves with the moon. The sun is typically associated with masculine energies, but I'm not into the binary anyway. So give me that sun. Friday says, coming from a deeply agriculture-based spiritual background, I agree. I tend to draw more energy for workings from the sun and water. Absolutely. I think I'm the same. I'm very much like the sun and the earth. Yeah. So this is my last Instagram slide. So what do I do now? Do I just close it? What will that do to my overlay? I didn't think ahead. I think I've got my other camera set up behind it. Just right into my glass of water. Let's take a sip. Then let's move our water from underneath. And I guess I'll show you all what I've worked on in my Book of Shadows. Actually, let's move the water on this side so I'm not constantly reaching across the camera. Oh, that's so interesting. What about the special times when the sun and moon are out? Good question. You can make some wacky water that way, I bet. Browser. There we go. And Friday says, I also find myself most energized by new moons as opposed to full moons, which seems to be counter to a lot of witches. You know, I need to think about that as well. Because I find full moons, as they approach, a lot of times, like, I feel very affected by the full moons, like, kind of drained almost. I feel like my depression is sometimes worse. I should probably track it to see. But I've not thought about how my mood and energy levels correspond to new moons. So we're going to figure all that out. Friday says, your journals are the prettiest. I've started bullet journaling again after watching your witchy crafting streams. Yay! I like having a pre-written out planner that I can kind of half bullet journal into. So I'm not obligated to draw out calendar spreads all the time. I found that kind of stressful, but I've found I love doing kind of a mix of bullet journal scrapbooking for my Book of Shadows. It being pretty is definitely motivating for me. I like having a pretty thing, and I get excited about completing a notebook and having this beautiful reference resource. So I think we were somewhere around here last time. Do we remember? I think I had finished I think I had finished my tarot section when I shared my Book of Shadows last. If there's anyone who's new who's joining us, a Book of Shadows is basically like a witch's journal. If you've watched Charmed, they have a family grimoire. I've always associated grimoires with specifically just spells, and they always seem fancier in my mind. But some people use it interchangeably with Book of Shadows. Book of Shadows, I feel like, has spells, but also just has notes, maybe, from reading a book. Or you could even use it as a tarot journal as well and have, like, readings that you did, spreads that worked really well for you. I think I had finished this page, and then... Yeah. Okay, yeah, because this is one of the little envelopes that we made. So I did this whole spread all about different circle rituals. I don't think I've put something in this envelope yet. I was planning on, did I? No. I was planning on doing a little journal entry because the circle rituals, I had done this spread either right before or right after, or maybe even during, and I did this to calm myself while people were storming the Capitol building And I was thinking of doing a journal entry and just tucking it into this envelope here to remember. But then I think I decided I didn't want that stress in my journal, in my book of shadows. So I just ended up not doing it. Oh my gosh, Dusty. Mountain Dew flavor correspondences, original, grounding, persistence code red, strength, energy, vitality, Baja Blast, empowering spellwork, pitch black. There's a black Mountain Dew? The shadow, self-indulgence, live wire, introspection, mysticism. I'm a little angry at you, but that's grid bar. Don't encourage. What about voltage? My favorite. And I did want to talk a little bit. Thanks, I hate it. Psych, that's amazing. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Like, Dusty worked really hard on that list, but not hard enough because he missed one. Circle rituals. Oh, sorry. I don't like that I said that. I take that back. You worked really hard, and I'm going to put it on the fridge. That felt like my mom coming out of, like, my mouth. Didn't work hard enough because you missed one. I'm sorry, you're right. There are so many. You did great. I would need a PhD thesis to do them all. Yeah, I'm going to hang it on the fridge. Write it down, Dusty. We'll put it on the fridge. And maybe I'll put it, if we write it on a small enough piece of paper, I'll put it in this little acorn envelope. So I wanted to talk a little bit about circle rituals, since I dedicated so much space to them. In my book of shadows, there's something that I find really, really interesting. And I'm wondering, for folks in the chat who practice spell work, witchcraft, do you open a circle? Whenever you do that, do you open a circle sometimes? Woo! My camera is going crazy because I'm jiggling the desk. Okay, I will lean on my chair instead. And while I wait for folks to catch up and let me know, I'll talk a little bit about the different things I've written here, since it's probably a little difficult to see. So the first circle ritual I learned was from Scott Cunningham's book, Wicca, which is the guide for the solitary practitioner, something along those lines. And it is a very traditional, it's called the Circle of Stones, and it's a very traditional Wiccan way of opening a circle. The summary is that basically you cleanse the area, you bless it with all of the elements. You have something to represent each of the 4 elements and the god and the goddess. Then you use an athame or a wand to draw a circle of energy, starting at the north, which represents the element of earth. And you imagine this archway. I always imagine it kind of like a little section of Stonehenge. You imagine an archway and mark this and invoke the element of earth to join you. And then you turn to the east and you invoke the element of air. Then you turn to the south, you invoke the element of fire. West, you invoke the element of water, and then you turn back to the north. And you also invoke the god and the goddess to look over you while you work. Oh, thanks for the hydrate. Dusty says, I always do at least something to consecrate, cleanse the working space. Usually it's a full-on circle, but sometimes it's just a scattering of salt and some words. Yeah, Dusty and I went to the Seattle Pagan Festival. Not last year, obviously. I guess it must have been the year before. Or was it early last year? I don't remember. That's not important. So we went to the festival and I took part in a discussion, but the person leading the discussion wanted to start it by creating a circle for all of us to have this magical discussion in. And what she did was very, very similar to Scott Cunningham's Circle of Stones. She didn't have things actually representing the elements, but there was turning in the different directions and invoking the elements and the god and goddess. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to say that, Dusty, but yeah. So that's the Circle of Stones. I also have here Harmony Nice's circle. So I mentioned earlier that YouTube's witch community is really thriving. And one of the creators is a woman named Harmony Nice. She's also big on Instagram, and she also has published a book called Wicca. And hers is very similar to the Circle of Stones, except kind of condenses it and makes it a little. She condenses it and makes it a little bit more casual, so you can see it even just like takes up a lot less space to write down what the whole ritual is, right? And calls out like maybe you don't honor the mother god and the mother goddess, father god. Which Scott Cunningham has invoked in like every single part of the Circle of Stones. Maybe you want to just quickly call upon the deity that you do worship. If you do, ask each element to watch over you. And then her addition is that she adds the fifth element of spirit, ending the opening of the circle with, as above, so below, I call upon the element of spirit. Other than that, they're actually pretty similar. Harmony Nice prescribes fewer visualizations, where Scott Cunningham goes into more detail on what you should visualize while you're doing each thing. Harmony Nice leaves that a little bit more open-ended, or at least doesn't go into as much detail. I haven't cast a circle or consecrated my space in actual years. I guess instead what I do is choose my special knives, spoons, cutting boards, pots, pans, and clean my stove. We used to do a big local monthly ritual over on the east side. They skew more Wiccan than our home practices. Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of the research and information that you can find on witchcraft tends to start, at least, with Wiccan practices. I feel like they're the most prevalent. They're very heavily associated with witchcraft. And when you're a beginner with no one to work with, and like Wiccan covens are maybe your most readily available people resource, and most books focus on Wiccan practice, it can be hard to find other things. Like even Harmony Nice's circle is I think very influenced by the Circle of Stones. So those were the circle rituals that I've used for a long time. My practice began very closely with Wicca, just because that's all I really knew was available to me before I did more research. And then recently, I read A Witch Alone. I finished that just at the end of the year, last year, by Marion Green. And so she has a chapter near the back called Calling of the Light, which is the most different circle thing, ritual that I have read yet. Almost everything else I've read is very inspired by the Circle of Stones, and so because I already have that and a simplified version of that in my Book of Shadows, I've never felt the need to record something else. But Marion Green's Calling of the Light is more of a sphere than a circle, and based on the sun and the moon and just this, and stars and the aspect of light and darkness in the earth, than it is on the four elements. So actually I've written this all down. I've written invocations in this little envelope for when I do want to practice this, but I haven't done this yet because I'm very comfortable with calling on the four elements, and I can do that more casually and quickly. And this just feels so different. I'm a little bit intimidated, but I think it's so cool. So what you do is you start looking east rather than north, and the book details a lot more how to visualize, what to visualize in your head, but I've written just like very brief notes, and then my invocations kind of fill in the rest for me. So you start in the east and you think of the sunrise. My invocations, here, I'll just take it out. First of all, did a really cute little seal on it, so let's appreciate that. Let's see. So in my invocation, I mention new light refreshing as the gale. So even in this light-focused practice, I've incorporated the elements through these invocations, which will help me visualize both and appreciate both the sun and also the element of air, which is associated with the east. In the you look to the south and you imagine like the sun at noon and really vibrant, fiery palettes of flowers, which I've also incorporated in my little invocation that I wrote. You look west and you imagine the setting sun, and you imagine like coolness descending, maybe the sun setting into an ocean. And in that way, you're also honoring the element of water. Then you look north and you see a rocky landscape with a sky studded with stars. So you acknowledge that. You acknowledge the light in the stars and the element of earth. And then while you're standing north, you look to the right and you imagine a pale crescent new moon. So now we've moved on from honoring the sun to honoring the moon. And you think of all the things that the new moon represents. You look to the left and you imagine the old moon, which is a mirrored crescent, and represents different things. So you're less on the beginning of a journey with new intentions, more learning from experience, having created patience and endurance and all of that. And then you look up and you see the full moon, which might represent a number of other things to you. So you have an invocation, that a few lines, a little poem that captures that for you. And then you look down into the earth and you see that there's no light, and you feel, but you feel the foundation, the security of the earth holding you. And then you imagine a tiny spark that lights all of the lights on the earth from like one flame, and you use that to thank the earth. And then you imagine a spark of light in yourself, and appreciate and honor your own like eternal divine presence. And I wrote here, praise this hidden light. So I really love how visualization based this is. I feel like you could do this just saying invocations in your mind, or just visualizing things if you're better at visualizing and that's stronger for you. I wrote little poems on this whole little scrap piece of paper to help me remember what to visualize at each step and to give this calling of the light a feel of ceremony, if that's what I want at any particular moment. Let's see, what did I miss in chat? Friday says, Wiccan circles and gatherings we've encountered are way into calling quarters and casting circles. My background is a total farm witch stuff, very little structure or book taught practices. Wicca is for sure an accessible starting point and works well for a lot of people. Yeah, I agree. Friday says, very different, really pretty visualization. Dusty says, calling the quarters always seems so strange to me. It's a surprisingly direct callback to older aspects of Western esotericism that really seems at odds with the rest of Wiccan philosophy. How so, Dusty? Can you expand on that? So that's opening circles. So I don't know if folks in chat have any other reactions to that. Is the concept of opening a circle, doing a sort of ritual, totally new and wild to you? What about calling of the light and creating this sort of sphere of light around you? Does one appeal to you more than the other? That board Zoe, hey! I'm glad you were able to join us after all. Okay, Teacup has an unrelated question. How do you make paper look aged? Okay, so this paper is me cheating because I bought a packet of fake parchment so that I could easily make props printed on my printer. That is a tip actually from the Crafting Muse on YouTube. She was like, if you want to make great handouts and you need to make a bunch of them, just buy a small ream of fake parchment. And it comes with all different sorts of fake parchment. So some will look more like it's been stained in different areas. Some will look more like it has a more even texture on it. But if I wasn't using that, I would do a tea or coffee stain. So using tea or coffee that is cooled to room temperature, just paint some pieces of normal paper and hang them up to dry. Dusty says, the whole Guardians of the Watchtowers thing is a renaming of the 4 archangels, called in the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, which is totally derived from Hermetic and Masonic traditions. Whoa, I had no idea, says Friday. That's wild. I see what you mean about being at odds. That is super interesting / strange. Well, yeah, Marion Green's Calling of the Light was a really different approach to witchcraft. A Witch Alone, I feel like, has a lot of influences or call-outs to European, Western, and Wiccan-based witchcraft. But I think Marion recognizes that and also takes steps to... that book is structured so that there's like homework at the end of each chapter. And so her homework takes steps to encourage you to learn about what your ancestors and what your backgrounds, folklore, might be. Oh, hey, Dingo. Thanks for joining. So that was really refreshing, reading A Witch Alone. And then I started reading The Green Witch, which I hadn't read yet because I thought it was like only focused on herbology, and I was waiting until I was in the mood to learn that. But I just took it off my bookshelf and started reading on the whim. And The Green Witch is actually a fantastic beginner's witchcraft book. Obviously, if you're more interested in earth and herb magic, but it just talks about just a lot of similar concepts that Marion talks about. That witchcraft is really just old knowledge that used to be a part of everyday life. That goes by other names like folklore, that a lot of knowledge is lost because it used to just be passed down through families, through day-to-day things you needed to know, just common knowledge that wasn't necessarily recorded. But The Green Witch even talks about Marion Green, I feel like, romanticizes the old ways, the ancient ways a lot, whereas The Green Witch acknowledges that it's easy to romanticize those things, and that knowledge is very magical at its roots. I mean, it is magic, but there's also a lot magical about the new ways. Like, you don't want to go back to having to not have lights and live by candlelight all day. There's a lot in technology and modernities that can be inspiring and part of your practice as well. So I really like that The Green Witch kind of updates that mode of thinking. It wasn't what I was expecting, and it's so good. I would recommend it to anybody who's just curious, and especially who doesn't want to have their introduction fully colored by Wicca. I feel like it's even one more step away from that. But let's continue on my little tour of my Book of Shadows. So I showed you this page on the other camera before when we were looking at the Instagram. But here I have a chart of old herb names. The idea being that if you were a witch in olden times, you needed to sort of hide that... Well, the idea was that you were hiding the ingredients that were in a potion, so you had these other names for things. Also, I got this really cute holographic moon washi tape. So I'm just going to move the page a little bit so you can see it sparkle. Ooh, this would be another really fun page to talk about. So let me hold this up. So I've got this really pretty background image that I took from a magazine of someone dressed up like they're in a fairy tale practically, and interacting with a really pretty little deer. And I've written on these different little scraps of that fake parchment that I use, different everyday magic rituals. So I'm wondering, again, if there's anyone in chat who practices or has been curious about practicing. Are there any just everyday, seemingly mundane things? This is the opposite of opening a circle to do spell work. That is very ritual based. It involves incantations and maybe using different tools to open your circle. What is just everyday stuff you can do without all that fanciness? Oh. Thanks for listening, Dingo. Have a safe drive. So, everyday magic. So, some things I've written down here, for example, are waking up with the sunrise. I'd mentioned I am not a morning person, but those few times I have woken with the sun, there is something magical about how sleepy that hour is and waking up as the sun rises. Especially, I think if you're playing Animal Crossing, I think it captures those hours really well. The really, really late / really, really early hours of Animal Crossing have this like lazy version of the Animal Crossing music that just makes the world sound sleepy. Friday says tea. Brewing tea and blending tea is a daily energy work point. Same with cooking, baking, gardening. Cleaning for sure. We use infused cleansers with mint, rue, rosemary, etc. Yes, all these daily things that you do, you can add just a little extra intention and get all sorts of energies out of that. So I think I have here, stir your intentions into your morning coffee, or it could be tea if you drink tea in the morning or at any point, but it's kind of nice to have a moment when you've just woken up and can take a moment to yourself. Dusty says BRB, drawing sigils on the coffee maker. So with coffee or tea in the morning, you can kind of set your intentions for the day. And if it's some sort of energy you want to attract towards you, like maybe I really want to attract really focused energy today, you would meditate on that and stir your coffee or tea or beverage of choice clockwise. If you want to banish something, so say your focus is more on I want to stay off Twitter, and that's how you're going to focus on your work. You'll stir counterclock and focus on leaving Twitter behind for the day. Let's see, what does Glub Glub Bub say? I've done high ritual stuff, not for me, but there are things I do like, what Friday said above, that are normal every day but are meaningful. Long work day, I word good. Oh Sheet Pizza says, a friend made me an oil facial cleanser using plants she grew and then blessed it under the moon. When I use it, I try to be very intentional and use it to not only clean my face, but my energy as well. That is an amazing, like, little everyday ritual that you can do for yourself. I absolutely love that. That Boardzoy says, yeah, jumping off of Friday's point, cooking, baking, gardening, a lot of crafting is magical for me, especially when I'm creating for someone or with someone in mind, even myself. Yes, Friday, beauty ritual magic is such a good one. I gotta get on that game. Absolutely. That Boardzoy, I know a lot of folks who are into fiber arts of some sort, and they feel like you're spending so much time creating these things with your hands that's like every moment, if you're doing that with intention, you're infusing an energy with it, especially like you said, if you're making a gift for someone in mind. Let's see, what else did we have here? So I'll go through these. Stand in the sunshine and imagine yourself filling with light. I do that one a lot. Sometimes I'm like a cat and I just sit in a sun patch and just meditate on that warm feeling of the sun touching my skin. Light a candle and meditate. A spell can be as easy as light a candle and focus on it for a little bit. Turn your shower into a ritual. Wash away what holds you back. I think this one of these envelopes here, I have a page I took from a magazine, which is a whole like incantation while you're in the shower and like other little steps that you can take. But I don't think it necessarily has to be like a bunch of steps that you specifically follow. Maybe just have the shower, use your favorite shower things so you're filled with good vibes and you're adding layers of sensation, like maybe scent if you like scented shower things, or like the texture of a bath gel that you really like, or bubbles if you're taking a bath, and just focus your energies on washing away all the bad vibes spiraling down the drain. Oh. Friday. Every tea order that we blend and pack is absolutely good vibe infused for joy and health and security. That's what's up. Oh Sheet Pizza says, I'm literally knitting right now and I infuse it with intention throughout the process. Think like when my friend wears this hat, I want them to feel loved and safe. That is so sweet. And I'm sure that will make that object extra special. Just a little enchantment. Yes, at the end, the last one I have on the page here is cook mindfully and with intention. And there's also wash away low vibes, clean or sweep. So that's just doing things that you might have to do every day just because, but doing them with a different mindset. So if you infuse your cleaning supplies with oils or scents that are meaningful and you know the correspondences of, that can be something that adds extra intention. Or cooking mindfully, I like to just like look up what are the correspondences of the herbs in my cooking cabinet. So for example, bay leaves represent protection. And so whenever I make a soup, I really love to add 2 bay leaves, one for me and one for Dusty, into that soup. And I do that with that intention. I think this is the last page I've worked on. No, that's a lie. There's another one. Okay. I'm trying to think what else is in these little envelopes. I have one that's that shower ritual. And then one I think is, it's a how to make a book of receipts, which is like a collection of recipes and notes and things you've learned and maybe a spell your friend gave you. It's a book of things received. And the idea is that it's essentially like you're building this Book of Shadows plus, I suppose. And with the idea that you will eventually pass this book of knowledge on, that it can be inherited by the next generation. Now everyone in chat wants to know what would go well with a slice of pizza. I also need to know. Just a cup of marinara. I'm mad at myself for saying that. Mad at myself for imagining drinking that. On my next spread, I'm really excited I got to use this picture, which is when I was talking about those woods Dusty and I go to that are our college campus and how they have tree stumps that have been created into altars. This is what I was talking about. This is a picture from a magazine, but it's kind of like what you can find in evergreen forest. And I did some cutouts of words, so wood and magic. And I pasted, there's a little cutout from an article that has different types of trees and their correspondences. Well, these are less correspondences and more ways you would use those different types of wood. So for example, They have written here things like willow is sacred magic, transporting the soul. Ash is sacred and healing. The leaves make a tonic for horses. Pine tree sap is a salve for pox and spotted fever. So I cut that out and I saved that. And then on this opposite side, this is actually a picture that I took of a tree in the evergreen woods. It looks so spooky cool. So I'm going to hold it up so you can get a better look. And then I went through a bunch of resources online and wrote down a heckin' bunch of tree correspondences. So these are just trees and a few words associated with them, what they might be used for. Fir trees represent abundance, rebirth, and shadow work. Walnut trees represent health and wealth. There are so many more trees than this, obviously, but I tried to focus on trees that I know that I've either heard of, that seem common, or I know are local to the area in Washington State where I am, which wasn't super scientific. I just nudged Dusty and I'd be like, Dusty, are there dogwood trees here? That sort of thing. My grandfather was raised in Irish Druidic pagan traditions and was super into tree associations in his work. That's really cool. I think it was in A Witch Alone where I read this, but it might have been another book. But the author talks about how there are people who collect different like sticks or pieces of wood from different trees, and maybe mark the end of the stick in some way, and kind of like throw the sticks in place of how one might throw runes or something, and the way the sticks land and the associations or correspondences of those trees or what that tree means to that person speak to. Okay, you're like, yeah, that's a thing. It's called casting twigs. Okay. Oh, redwoods. Wow. Yeah, so I guess casting twigs is a thing. I think that's quite cool. So anyway, yeah, so your Book of Shadows, it can be like in any order. Like you've noticed I'm like jumping around. Circle rituals, herbs, everyday magic, tree correspondences. At some point, I'm going to figure out a way to artfully number all these pages. And then I have at the front in an index page where I'm going to fill in. But I think I also just kind of get used to where things are in reference to other subjects, which I also kind of like. I have a little journal entry here from when our power was out. But another way to age paper if you're once you've got it like coffee stained and everything, that will do so much. But I also like sometimes burning the edges of paper. It looks different than when you tear paper, because sometimes when you tear it, you still kind of get that white edge. But I would definitely do this somewhere like outside on pavement. I did this at my desk, like, oh yeah, it'll just be a little flame along the edge of the paper and I'll blow it out and it'll be fine. I don't have to worry about this inside my heckin' house. So the flame, I started to blow it out as soon as I realized that lighting a piece of paper on fire was not smart. And got like little bits of ash all over my desk that I then had to clean up. So learn from my mistake, or just common sense, don't do that. So here you actually have my pages planning for, I want to do a sort of like intuitive magic workshop through like a virtual workshop. And so I've been working on like the first lesson plan, which is very focused on what is magic, different types of witchcraft, sort of a primer on witchcraft. And then I put this envelope here with my rough draft of like a worksheet. I'm thinking of calling it Intuitive Witchycraft or Witchycraft Workshop. just because I feel like if you look up witchcraft workshop, you probably get a bajillion different things. So trying to make it like a little easier to find. But I have like some witch quotes. I've written a rough draft of like all the different things magic are. Types of witchcraft. So you have like candle magic, divination magic, astrology. So you can kind of look up different areas or even just read this list and see what jumps out at you. I have an expanded list. I kind of took what was in my Book of Shadows and I expanded it a little bit. So rather than just saying, bless your coffee, I write what that means. So just little everyday things that people can do. And then my recommended list of reading for beginning witches, because I get this question all the time. The idea being this workshop can provide people with resources so they can continue their journey after the workshop as well. Like I'm not necessarily writing a whole book on witchcraft myself, but I'll point you in every sort of direction and provide a primer so you even know where to start. And then each of the worksheets gets paired. This is like an old draft. That's why the fonts are totally different. But gets paired with sort of like questions to help you reflect on what you read. So I talk about what is magic. The question that gets paired with that is, well, what does magic mean to me? Why do I want to learn witchcraft? What areas call to me? And then there's even homework where you do one of the everyday magic spells and record how you felt before, during, and after. So that's just a little preview for folks on Twitch of what I've been working on. And I find this really energizing. Like, this seems to be what I'm most excited about right now. So that's why I like even put it in my Book of Shadows, because I like brainstorming and putting notes and making my Book of Shadows feel like a thing where notes can be, even though I did still make it very scrapbooky. I put this piece of paper in here, but I wrote in pencil because notes. Yeah, and that's where I've gotten so far with my Book of Shadows. Whew. I feel like I just like rambled for a bunch. But I don't know. Now I kind of need to think about where I want to go next with my Book of Shadows. Good rambles. Thank you for being encouraging, folks. Oh, thank you. Your book is so pretty and meaningful, says the Boardzoy. I'm really enjoying how I'm putting it together. I will say these pages are getting really chonky just because I went a little wild with putting in envelopes, especially this one that has like multiple pieces of paper folded in it. So it's going to be a little tricky working on these next spreads. But we've got like 30 minutes to hang out. So maybe let's just do some chill. Let's do some chill scrapbooking. And I'm going to see if I can turn my music on for scrapbooking without having to put headphones on. Oh, Cheap Pizza, thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate your being here. Okay. Folks, let me know how the volume levels are with this music. And also if you can hear it double. And how the levels are compared to my speaking. I have two things come to mind for what I want to work on next. Eventually I'll be working on my magic lesson number 2, because I already have a bunch of ideas for that. But I think I've been really wanting to make a 2021 moon calendar, which I feel like I should do sooner rather than later because the first full moon is like literally tomorrow. And then also I haven't copied over from my old Book of Shadows the Wheel of the Year, which I'd originally had as just like a spread with all these correspondences written for each holiday. but I kind of like the idea of maybe doing a spread dedicated to each as they come up this year. I won't have them all in the same place, but I would be able to have more information on each, you know? Maybe because I'm still not sure, I should do the moon calendar today. Let's look up 2021 moon calendar. Do we have one with names of the moon? That would be awesome. Oh, is it a new moon tomorrow? Not a full moon? Might be. Wait, no, yeah, it's a full moon tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. I remember you mentioned, Dusty, that it was a waxing gibbous. So I was like, that doesn't make sense. Okay. So let's see. Let's flip through some magazines and see if there's like a good moon picture. Or you know what? I have a bunch of moon washi tape. Let's just look at that. Ooh, and stickies. I forgot. Okay, I got a bunch of stickers. So there's even like, there's this cute moon. Cute moon. There's a little moon book. No moon stuff on this one. Okay, there's like, are those all separate stickers? Yeah. Okay, we've got to use our moon stickers, right? This one's like a whole connected sticker. But there's also the different moon phases. Like so. So those are options. Okay, this is like the pink one, but purple. Red, love that. Okay, we have some little moons and constellations, and here's another good one. Okay, let me spread out these stickies. Does anyone have like a favorite color, especially with the craft paper? And then I have some different moon washi tape. So I've got this like holographic moon washi tape that's kind of like a mauve color. That would look good with the... Honestly, it would look good with any of them. That does not help our decision making. Oh, hey, Ingenia42. Thank you for following and hanging out with us. And then I also have, I think this is a hunter, like a really dark green with a gold foil. Or maybe this picture, this will clear up better. Nope. There we go. Some of these I haven't opened yet, but I can totally open them. I also have just a whole bunch of constellation washi tape. I think we've got to focus on the moon, though. Let's see. I'm going to take out the red and pink. I like them a lot, but I feel like the accent stickers to the other ones are a little more moony. If you're wondering where I got these stickers, by the way, they're from a company called Paper Geek Co. Okay. I really like this. I mean, will these go together? Okay. We could maybe use this big washi tape and the green washi tape together, which then helps limit color choices. So I might go with this, the gray moon stickers then. Yeah, purple feels like it'd be too colorful for this. Blind Dingo says it's really cool hearing about different aspects of magic. Gives me more things to meditate on while I work. Well, I love that. I mean, that's even sort of like a magical state of mind when you're just doing, when you're working and you're able to think on other things and you kind of, where are my scissors? Oh, didn't need them. And you're able to think on different things and meditate on them. That's sort of like that's the frame of mind you want to be in when you're doing spell work, I think. So it's good to practice that. If Friday's still here, are you streaming today, Friday? I am gonna need my scissors eventually, so... I maybe want to do stripes along the top or bottom. And do I want this to be a full page spread or just one, like a half the notebook? Okay, cool. Oh, good. You're streaming at 6? Perfect. When we're done scrapbooking, we'll jump over to you so that everyone can enjoy your taste testing farm direct leaf. Oh, that's so cool. I love how much thought you put into sourcing your teas. That's really important to me as a consumer. So it's just nice. It makes you feel good about the places you want to support. Okay. For some reason, I want this to be a full spread, but I know the moon calendar isn't going to take up that much space. We're just gonna figure it out. We're just gonna make this pretty. I like how my arm is cut and my camera's covering this whole thing. I'm sorry, y'all. I'll show you in a moment. Okay. Put a stripe of washi tape along the bottom. I think I'm gonna do the same to the top. And then I'm gonna put the green washi tape right next to it. Oops. Oh, I feel like this wasn't straight. No. Okay. There's probably a way to do this so that it definitely... I mean, there's a dot grid, for heck's sake. Okay. Oops. Broke the... I mean, that's fine. It's right at the crease. Like this underneath or on top? Ooh, I think I'm gonna put it on top. I have a cat very upset that I'm in the basement. Don't know if you can hear her yowling. Meow. Oh, thanks for the hydrate remind. I shall take a sip in one moment. I really like the just nice pattern the washi tape is making. A little messy up here, but maybe I can put a sticker there to cover it. Oh, you thought it was your cat meowing? I mean, it could very possibly be both. Oh, now I just wish that am I able to cut a little green? Nope. Ah. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Put our washi tapes away. Now, where do I want to put these stickers? Maybe I can just write moon calendar really big here and then just put the moon calendar on this page. I'm starting to feel different about the color sticker I chose. Probably overthinking it. Ooh, Teacup and I are shopping on the Paper Geek Co. website right now. Yes! Also, Grinning Greg says, makes you wonder how many cats are making noise at any one time around the world. That's a good, probably very many. I find cats to be noisy creatures. But I know folks have different experiences. Okay. Hold on. This is my, picture. Let's see. Just got like little scraps I thought I might want later. Let's see if there's any moon pictures in here. Or maybe something like an orb or something that can represent the moon. Usually, I mean, I've only done this once before, but last time I was super prepared. I like looked up pictures ahead of time, but then I feel like I scrapbooked too fast. Oh, here's a tiny something. That's not big enough to be what we're looking for. If I can't find anything, I might just do the calendar first. But I definitely want something impactful. Oh, Dusty says, depends on how close it is to dinner time. The cats have taken to... Ooh, what about a circular cutout of one of those sky shots? That could be really cool. Do I feel like I can draw or cut out a nice size circle? Just trying to imagine it. We'll flip through one more. These are getting quite thin as I utilize all their pages. Oh, still so many gorgeous things, though. Pictures of altars. This one, the colors are speaking to me. I wonder if I can paste this in and then like write moon or moon calendar or moons 2021 or something in like a nice flowy calligraphy. And cut it out and paste it on top of the image. I'm liking this one. I'm going to finger bookmark it. Teacup, this, a friend got me a subscription for a year to Enchanted Living magazine, which I really love flipping through, but just isn't the sort of magazine, at least most issues aren't, where I would necessarily revisit all the time. So it makes great scrapbooking fodder. Okay, I think I am going to do what I mentioned. Somehow figure out using this as a background image, which I kind of wish I'd thought of doing before I put the washi tape down, but yeah, we're just gonna roll with it. Okay. I wonder if maybe there's just... Do I want it to look like a neat little window, or... Is there something more interesting I can do with it? I mean, I like these crystals a lot, so make sure those get in there for sure. I'm using my thumb to mark, my thumbnail to mark where the crease of the pages is, so I know where to cut. Be like there, and then hold here. Like that. This is like kind of different than what I've been doing, but I don't hate it. And then I've got this other little piece that has a cute candle on it, so I'm gonna save that. I might want that later. Okay. forgot to hold this so you can see what I'm doing. Save that over there. Does this feet? Almost perfect. Which is good enough. That looks nice, actually. Here, let me hold this, move this mouse here. Let's see. So half of it will look like this. And we'll figure out putting like Moons 2021 somewhere on here. I don't really want to cover the crystals, so actually maybe I should have centered this differently. Maybe we can do it close to the crease here and sort of like a downward vertical lettering. Cut this. Okay. Doing it. Oh, actually, I got this really cute thing called a dot liner. It puts down little glue that's in the shape of hearts, and it's much easier than a glue stick. And I just do it around the edges. And then I do like a big X in the middle. I don't actually know if you need to use this much, but I like to make sure nothing's gonna budge. Okay, get it where I want it to be, and then I press down on those glue dots. Oh, Globe Globe Bub uses glue dots too. I like the cutie hearts. I'm gonna be sad when I run out. I have one more, and then it looks like there's like instructions on the back for reloading, so I don't know if I can get like just cartridges of the glue dots. Okay, we're going to just finish labeling this. And then I think Teacup and Friday might be starting their stream then, so we'll toss over to them then. But let me see. We need a white sheet of paper. All right. You see I was writing magic over and over again. I think this was originally for the tree correspondences. I was trying to, but I couldn't get it quite like what I liked. What color should we do? I feel like a light purple. Let's see if I can do calligraphy in a way that is pleasing to me today. You see? Okay. Oof. Oh, I hit the camera stand and I thought crazy things were gonna happen with my pen. I'm a little slanty, but I don't hate it. The color's a little, now that I'm seeing it, a little brighter than I wanted it to be, but I'm gonna keep going. I kind of maybe bring it closer to that mauve-y color with this purple pen, which I'm gonna use to create shadows on my lettering. Don't know how much you can tell. It pops a little bit more. Ooh, moon shadow. It's a cool phrase. Moons. And then how do we want to do I like this? It's hard to really tell until it's on there. We'll wait till I cut it out. Then I want to write 2021, which I think I'm just going to do in this shadow color. Like that. Oh, I just wrote on myself. Okay, let's cut this out. And I might cut it out more rounded and wavy than a straight up rectangle. Ooh, paper going rogue. Moons 2021. There's a beachfront restaurant in Malibu called Moon Shadows. Ooh, I've always wanted to go there because of the name, but I think it's too fancy for me. All right, that's the lettering that I did. And we can kind of do it like, ooh. Just pressing it to whatever. We could do it like right there, so it's going to be right next to the calendar here, or kind of in between, so we're not. I actually kind of like it on top of the little lavender tea. I like it there. I want to accent it with stickers, but I'm wondering if that's too much. What are folks' thoughts? Or maybe, if we're not using these gray stickers, maybe the purple or something can kind of marry the purple ink I'm using and this mauve-y color together. So kind of having struggles with that visually. And these little accents with crystals might look nice next to this. Save the stickers for the actual calendar. That might be a way, if I do just like these tiny stickers with crystals, which match the purple crystals in the picture, might be a way to help marry the calendar and this little like miniature cover together. Okay, whatever. We're gonna glue the lettering in. Okay. So as we wind down, I'm just gonna let folks know where I'm streaming the rest of the week. Tomorrow, if you're missing story time, tomorrow I'm doing Chat Ventures on the One Bookshelf Twitch, which is games for one, but I play them with the chat helping me play. And we're starting out with just solo D&D. So tomorrow I'm doing, I think it's called A Kobold Nightmare by Drew Dawes. I'm going to play that. That's 10 a.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/onebookshelf. And I like this crystal here. Or maybe this. And then Friday is the finale of Haunting of Good Society. 10 a.m. Pacific time, Grin and Greg, on twitch.tv/onebookshelf for Chat Ventures. And then Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time is Haunting of Good Society's finale, which I'm so excited about. That game has been tremendous fun, so much scandal, so many dark secrets being revealed, and it's one of my favorite games, Good Society. If you want to see that in action, definitely check that out. The vampires are too scary in this. They're not hot, sparkly vampires. They peel their skin off. Spoiler alert, I suppose. Yes, Stingo. You can catch the VODs on my YouTube, youtube.com/ Lisa Penrose, I think is the URL. I don't think there might be like channel/Lisa Penrose. But yeah, I think, okay, putting stickers, I'm like too non-committal to put stickers down right now. So I might do that off camera. And then next time we do the witching hours, I will show you the finished calendar so we can enjoy how this spread turned out. It's turning out to be a really colorful, happy spread, which I am enjoying as a nice change of pace. Oops, let's cover this glue stick. Stick around in the end screen because I am going to toss over to Friday afternoon tea. If you want to watch Friday and Teacup taste some direct from farmer teas they just got in. I'm really excited about that. I'm probably going to put that on for dinner while Dusty and I are upstairs. I'm the VOD person because I'm always too tired for streams. That's totally valid. I appreciate you watching however you can. I will catch folks at either of my streams later this week. Hope to see you there for Haunting, or in the VOD. You can always check out the VOD, Dingo. And I never know what to say at the end of these. So just everyone, take care of yourselves and take care of each other and hang out because we're going to go raid Friday. So let's go make Friday's night. Bye, everybody.